Welcome to the SVG TV News for Thursday, December 15th. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. Approximately 36 million Eastern Caribbean dollars are expected into the local economy from the 2022-2023 cruise season. The ballpark figure was given in Parliament on Tuesday by Minister of Tourism Carlos James, who was responding to a question from opposition MP Fitzgerald Bramble on the projected revenue SVG is expected to earn from the record number of cruise ship visitors expected to the island for the season. Minister James says the projected revenue is based on a 44% increase in visitor arrivals by cruise and a 29% increase by calls.
How we're looking at the computation, the numbers, easily, Madam Speaker, when we look at a breakdown of some of the individual receipts, for instance, the Port Authority, we're looking to pull in just over 4 million EC, 3.8 million in service charge and environmental fees alone. Additional to that, we have a number of other levies and charges, harbor dues, pilotage, mooring launch, overtime service, navigation aids, boarding fees, vessel clearance, etc. When you look at the national parks, their incomes from sight, and in 2019, they would have made roughly about 385,000. We're hoping to see that figure going up this year as a result of the increased visitor arrivals by cruise.
Minister James says the stakeholders in the industry, such as taxi and tour bus operators, are also benefiting from the revenue being generated.
The taxi operators, interesting to note, the taximen are doing quite well, an average of $150 per day for a taxi operator. And we have quite a few registered taxi operators within the country. At 112 thereabout calls for the season, you're putting that figure to about 2.7 million directly in the pockets of taxi operators. You go to tour buses, which is an average of 900 Eastern Caribbean dollars per tour, and roughly about 12 to 20 buses are on call at any given moment during the season. And this naturally will put our figure to about just under 2 million to tour buses alone. A few of the operators indicated that they're grossing well over $500,000 and up to $1 million in terms of revenue, and this is of course after before expenditure. So all of these computations with the additional visitor spend, we will see roughly about 36 million come into the economy from cruise.
There will be a heavy focus on the provision of technical services to farmers and fishers across SVG in 2023. This is from Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor, Saboto Caesar, during his contribution to the debate on the 2023 estimates of revenue and expenditure presented in Parliament on Tuesday. Minister Caesar noted that the total approved estimates, recurrent and capital, for the ministry is $51 million, with recurrent totaling $27 million. He said on the recurrent side, the ministry's portfolio has 10 programs which include an allocation of $2.8 million for agriculture extension and advisory services.
In our consultations, the farmers noted that going forward, they will wish to see a more efficient program whereby the extension and advisory services will be equipped to better serve them. There's an allocation of $5 million to research and development, $2.6 million to animal health and production services. We are expanding in the production of livestock, and it is very important that on the recurrent side, we ensure that all of the workers in the veterinary department, that they receive the requisite remuneration to be able to carry out their duties. And there is an allocation of $2.3 million for fisheries services. As was noted by the Honourable Minister of Finance and also supported by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, the fisheries sector is of first importance, and we have to ensure that we budget and we have the requisite allocations, which would allow the Fisheries Division to exercise their duties.
On the capital side, with an allocation of $24 million, an increase of $3.6 million over the approved budget of 2022, Minister Caesar says there are 17 capital projects to be conducted by the ministry in 2023, including the tuna fleet expansion program.
Also, there's the Fishing Development Project Phase 2, and the sum of $500,000 has been allocated for that project. This will create and continue to create job opportunities in the fisheries sector, and this would be as a part funding for the public-private partnership that we have established between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union. And just to note, we have already released 2 of the vessels, and there is an order in. There's an order in for 62 other vessels, and we are working the process, and this will continue in 2023. The Basic Needs Trust Fund, BNTF 10, Rural Development, the sum of $7.3 million allocated for footpaths. The Diamond Estate in Barreley and Chapman's for education infrastructure, in Fitzhugh's and in Miro, and sports infrastructure in Union Island. Again, Madam Speaker, this would provide significant employment in the construction and rehabilitation of these assets. The Barreley Blackfish Facility Enhancement Project. The sum of $4.2 million has been allocated for the construction of a modern processing facility for blackfish in Barreley.
$3.6 million have been also allocated for the arrowroot industry revitalization project. Minister Caesar says with this project, they will not only be processing arrowroot starch, as they are working on several different lines to be able to produce composite flour from other commodities, particularly root crops.
And we are well aware that this project was proceeding and had to be stopped, came to a halt when we saw the eruptions of La Soufrière. And there are some issues that are being ironed out that we expect very early in 2023 to have them addressed so that we can restart the construction of that facility there in Orange Hill. Definitely it's going to benefit the people of North Windward. I know that they're looking forward to this project, but also to the farmers throughout the length and breadth of the country, producing other commodities which will be turned into starches, that they would also benefit. I see the honorable member for Maraqua looked up because the valley is producing significant quantities of dasheen, and there will be a line for the processing of dasheen as well.
Other projects to be undertaken or continued by the ministry in 2023 include the Farmers Support Revolving Fund, which will provide resources to farmers, to the Farmers Support Company to offer ancillary services to farmers. Minister Caesar said he is convinced that the monies allocated to the ministry in the 2023 estimates will allow them to modernize food production systems in the country, improve livelihoods, maintain food security, and increase exports. Local and regional surgeons were exposed to the use of smart glasses to carry out surgeries here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The pilot project is being facilitated by the World Pediatric Project surgeons who are currently on their final mission here for 2022. We hear more in this report.
5 surgeons were part of the pilot training with the smart glasses technology headed by Chief Executive Officer of the World Pediatric Project, Vafa Akhavan.
So it's a special hardware and software combination of camera and software, so that when a surgeon is actually doing the surgery, a teaching surgeon, a teaching professor from anywhere in the world is observing what that surgeon is doing in real time, and they can interact with that surgeon. They can. The surgeon has a screen and a camera on the glasses, so they can see what the professor is drawing. So the professor can mark a particular spot to make an incision, or they can have two-way communication verbally and talk to each other about what they're doing, how they're doing it. So that can be a one-to-one.
Pediatric partner with WPP, Dr. Jasmine Ellis-Davies, says the new technology affords surgeons an opportunity to advance the way surgeries are done, not only in SVG but in the region.
The advantages of this device and the implementation here in our third world developing country is that it helps us to access tertiary care for our patients when the need arises. So this device, we'll be able to use it not only in surgery or during surgery, but we will be able to use it in clinic, on the wards, when the need arises for tertiary care consultation and expert opinion and advice in the management of our patients.
The smart glasses surgery training forms part of a wider capacity building program for local and regional surgeons, as they were also afforded laparoscopic surgery training conducted by Dr. David Lannon. This type of surgery is a modern surgical technique with the assistance of a video camera and thin instruments.
The laparoscopic approach is for incisions that are really quite small. So most patients go home the next day on just Tylenol and can get back to school and their sports within a week's time, if not less.
Really implementing this service at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, as it would benefit the overall population and also the government on a whole, as it would reduce the cost or the amount of antibiotics we have to purchase, the amount of pain relief that we purchase for patients who would undergo general conventional surgical procedures.
Larissa Pogsley-Kidd, SVG TV News.
An investigation has been launched by the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force into the shooting death of Marcus Samuel of Barrowley. Samuel's body was found in the vicinity of the Aquatic Club in Villa last night. A post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on the deceased to ascertain the exact cause of death. Police are asking persons with information that can assist with the investigation to contact the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crimes at the telephone number 457-1211, the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department or Major Crimes Unit at 456-1810, or the officer in charge of the South Central Division at 458-4200, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable speaking with. Police say all information received will be treated confidentially. Samuel's death marks the 39th homicide for 2022. Persons across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, especially the youth, are being cautioned of the dangers of using illegal and harmful drugs. During the recently held crime prevention exhibition, police constable attached to the narcotics unit of the RSVG police force, Darren Batiste, encouraged the youth to stay away from these drugs.
Cocaine is a very wretched drug. It actually can kill you if you overdose on top of it. Whereas marijuana, cocaine is a class A drug, whereas marijuana is a class B. But cocaine is the more dangerous drug of the two. Marijuana is grown here on our shores, but as of recent, we have seen that persons try and actually import different strains of marijuana. These drugs are very harmful. They can cause a lot of damage, brain damage, especially at the earlier stages in persons' lives. And I would encourage persons not to tamper with these drugs.
Batiste used the opportunity to outline the difference between medicinal marijuana and the more harmful strains of marijuana.
Now, yes, we are moving towards medical marijuana, but the medical marijuana more or less have to go through a process. This process would just make it safe for persons to take whether the oil or even for recreational purpose. Also, we have on display different means of telling us telling us whether the drug that we intercept is either cocaine, marijuana, or heroin. Now, these are scientifically based test kits. Now, this one is cocaine. If in the case that I intercept any form of cocaine, whether it be liquid, raw cocaine, or even crack, what I would do is just take a sample and I would place it inside the top of this test kit. I would then seal it and I would break from left to right, and once I see this blue color at the bottom of this test kit, I will know that it is positive, that it is actually cocaine.
His Majesty's Prisons is now said to be in a better position to provide high-quality rehabilitation services to inmates currently in the prison's rehab program. This is through a donation of a number of power tools and auxiliary items made by Marlon Butte to Superintendent of Prisons Timothy Hazelwood on Tuesday. The prison department says the inmates currently participating in the prison's rehabilitation program will use the tools at the sessions to enhance their skills. In making the donation, Butte noted that District Stairs is pleased to partner with His Majesty's Prisons to make their rehabilitation program a resounding success. He stated that he sees it as a social responsibility to give back to the country of his birth in a tangible way. Superintendent of Prisons Hazelwood thanked Butte for the tangible donation and said that it was timely. He stated that the tools would play an important role in the development of the prison's rehabilitation program and in the future lives of the inmates. He further stated the prison cherished the ongoing relationship and hopes that it will continue to grow and blossom. Marlon Butte is of Ascension, residing in Canada, and the owner of District Stairs, a company based in Ontario. The National Christmas 9 Mornings Festival will begin tomorrow morning at Heritage Square in capital Kingstown. Speaking on the VC3 Roundtable Talk program yesterday, Chairman of the National 9 Mornings Committee, Orandi Charles, said everything is set for the start of the festival and that they are ready to entertain the people of SVG and visitors.
A couple of communities have already launched their activities. Calder on the weekend had activities.
Bonfire
storytelling, which was very unique. Walk with your jacket, your winter coat up there. Vermont, the community of Vermont had an activity. Tonight it's Career. Georgetown is doing some lighting up. And within the coming days, various communities, probably about 55 or so communities, would be either lighting up or having evening activities or 9 mornings activities. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines would be a buzz of activities, including 9 nights at the Botanical Gardens. And of course, the main program at Heritage Square, we're back on the streets after a little hiatus, would kick off on Friday morning. On the 16th, from the 16th to the 24th, and so we're geared up and we're ready to go, and I think people are excited to really experience 9 mornings in its authentic fashion. And of course, we have a lot of visitors coming in. I understand the flights are booked. You might have to try to go Timbuktu all around the world to get here now.
The Career 9 Mornings Committee turned on the lights in Career last evening, signaling the start of the Christmas 9 Mornings celebrations. The Career 9 Mornings activities are being held under the theme, Through the Difficulties, the Star Shines at Christmas. Speaking on the challenges that the country faced over the last 2 years, coordinator of the Career 9 Mornings Committee, Rosamond Richardson, said that he is happy that the people have the opportunity this year to celebrate Christmas together again.
And over the last couple of years, we indeed have gone through some difficult times, ranging from the explosive explosion of Grasshopper volcano, the COVID-19 pandemic, which incidentally is still going on, and the rising prices and rising cost of living and so on. So many difficulties. However, for 2022, we are back outside once again.
Chairman of the National Nine Mornings Committee, Randy Charles, commended those who continue to make it possible for the hosting of Nine Mornings activities throughout the country, noting that it is the responsibility of the people of SVG to ensure that the tradition lives on.
It's always a challenge every year to put this thing together nationwide, but we do it with your help, the help of our sponsors and supporters who help us to do this thing. This is a labor of love for us, but we are responsible for the transition of our cultural heritage. This is what gives us our identity. So it is our responsibility to ensure that it continues year after year after year. And it's always encouraging to see the youngsters out, the children. I am not one for many words, but it's heartfelt to see so many of you coming out to support. I'm seeing persons here from other communities as well. So I want to encourage you to venture out to the other communities and show them your support for their efforts as they have ventured to your community to show the support to your efforts.
Several different activities formed part of the Career 9 Mornings launch last evening. And persons who came out to support the launch of the Career 9 Mornings activities were reminded not to let the Christmas celebrations and practices distract them from taking care of their health. This advice came from Area Representative and the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Jimmy Prince, who encouraged people from across SVG to drink and eat moderately during the season.
We have a problem with respect to our health, and Christmas can worsen it. That is the non-communicable diseases. You would have heard me say some time ago that we have an average of 72 people dying in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a result of diabetes. And the doctors and the scientists have long understood that that is caused by bad eating, bad drinking, you know what I mean in that respect, and lack of exercise. So I have a duty as a Minister of Health to remind you that in this season to do what you have to do moderately. I know a lot of people who are listening to me now would not take it as serious as they should. But if you go to the hospital and you see how many people, 170 people losing their limbs over the last 2 years, you will come to realize that it is an important issue I'm talking about. All right? So we talk about 9 mornings, we talk about Christmas. At the same time, I want you to talk also about your health.
Reflecting on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Christmas celebrations over the last 2 years, Minister Prince said that he is hoping that the pandemic will come to an end soon.
Outside for the first time, I think, in 2 years, because there was a hiatus because of COVID-19. And we did have a special period over the last 2 years where our psyche, our country was taxed to the limit with COVID-19 and also the eruption of La Soufrière. In some cases, a Hurricane Elsa in the north of the country. And here we are back, and I hope we are coming to the end of the COVID-19. Keeping our fingers crossed. We have dropped a lot of the protocols, but we are still telling people, keep your ears and eyes open, because if there is a surge, you need to be prepared. And as you have said before, if you have comorbidities, you can suffer greatly. So even while we talk about Christmas and 9 mornings, we have to keep in the back of our minds these issues with respect to our coming out of that period, which we dreaded so much.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force Band held its 16th Christmas concert yesterday evening in the Daphne community at the Gomez Methodist School. The police band Christmas concerts are being held in collaboration with the Crime Prevention Unit, which are both entities of the RSVG Police Force. The police band leader, Sergeant Dwight Matthews, said they continue to have a good time in the communities where the concerts are held, noting that they enjoy spreading the Christmas cheer. A resident of Gomez was the recipient of a Christmas package from the Crime Prevention Unit.
So far, since the 28th, we've been going out. We've been handing out some food basket to people who are in need in each village, the villages. So the food basket they were handing out from since the 28th, and they were handing out from the CID, Crime CID Criminal Investigation Department. They were handing out the packages. So tonight, which was no exception, we handed out a package to a gentleman tonight. So he was so happy tonight, right? And the people, they were very much entertained, although the crowd were not that as before because we had some large crowd. But tonight we started with a handful and it grew tremendously. And they appreciate us and so we appreciate. And they got the full package like any other villages. So we are so happy tonight to come out and share our love to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Tonight is Gomez Share. And then we wish each and every one a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sergeant Matthews used the opportunity to invite the general public to the other activities being hosted by the police, including the caroling competition tomorrow at the Central Police Station in Kingstown, beginning at 7 p.m.
And we had a lovely turnout tonight. No, we started since the 28th of November, and we've been going each and every day to different villages of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yesterday we went to Bayaboo. Today we are in Gomez. Tomorrow we will be going to Richland Park. And on Friday we'll be having the police caroling contest, which will be taking place at the police station, the Central Police Station in Kingston. And on Sunday, there will be the prison concert. It will take place at the courtyard.
Here's a snippet of the police band's presentation at the Gomez Methodist School ground last evening.
Well, all I want for Christmas is to say alive. Health and strength for life. I'm tired of my brother and my sister and my quarrel. Hey, come make we drink, make us sorrel. Tell Auntie Joan and Uncle Warren send clothes and grocery no guns in the barrel. You know say from the down to the battery. And my house that can't manage. But my mama all when she not have it, she give me the good chocolate tea and the good porridge. I say, madam, what you have to offer? She say I have everything right here. I don't buy whiskey, neither strong rum. It is against my religion.